I was exploring the Big Sioux River when I made a radio call and was recognized by a friend doing the same thing, except he was doing something I hope everyone eventually does as a pilot. I was a TV news reporter right out of college and covered an aerobatics competition in 1991. That event was life-changing for me, and I vowed that someday I'd fly. Another life-changing event was when I completed rehab in 2010 and decided to finally go after my dream of flying, and I've been sober ever since. I'm Jeff Oliver, and I want to share my dream with you and show you what I see. I was flying down the Big Sioux River with a friend of mine, and I made a radio call, and over the radio I heard a friend of mine's voice, and it was Matt Williams, and I've got Matt with me. And so what were you doing out there today?
Well, today we're going out to show my friend Tommy a little bit of our, slice of paradise up here, Alaska, on the Big Sioux. But more specifically, he just got his Cub. So he has, plenty of flight hours and is a private pilot. I'm not sure if he's instrument rated or not, but he just got a Cub. So he's new to flying Cubs. And by no means am I, a flight instructor at all. But, we can help each other just by walking you through some scenarios. So, he's been over at Willow, Big Lake, trying to practice just on his own. And that's great. When I got my Cub, I think I spent close to 80 hours doing that. But I didn't really have any, mentors or somebody that had been flying in, the backcountry for a long time. So you're either going to pay a flight instructor to do it or you're going to slowly learn. But I was pretty nervous to go off airport, so I spent a lot of time just, beating the gravel runways down at Goose Bay and Big Lake, Willow, just like he was. So I invited him out, and we just went out to, the off-airport environment and found some really big stretches of gravel bars and places to play and let him kind of feel out what different environments are. He'd never flown a Cub with 35s or that angle of attack or anything like that. I think he flew a Citabria, but to get his tail wheel, and that's about it. But yeah, we were just out there to have a good time and just have a casual kind of talking about what Cubs do and kind of more or less the methods that I've been taught and that I use over time. So, and to just kind of pass some of that on to him.
So you mentioned that you didn't have anybody really go with you initially. Did anybody ever go with you to kind of show you the ropes or anything initially?
I guess I did maybe have 3 landings from an instructor that I did that I was getting the plane annualed with, and we went out outside of Talkeetna, and he kind of just showed me. I was so new to the plane that I didn't absorb any of it. So I went for a long time just kind of on my own. And until I was really ready to dive into short spots and really having the plane configured properly and knowing what I'm doing, I really didn't have anybody do that. So it was probably 6 years ago or so that I hooked up with this guy named Ty Christensen.
Mm-hmm.
Turned into be a good friend of mine now. But I paid him as a backcountry instructor. He was teaching or instructing at a backcountry course here that they do for the military. And so I knew he was going to be somebody good, and he obviously had a lot of social media stuff that I could follow and see what he was doing. And when you see that stuff, it's shocking awe. You're like, God, I have a Cub. I really like to do that. So I went out with him the first few times, and I learned that I was way over my head pretty quickly.
Well, what I've learned is that going out with somebody like you did today is so helpful. I went out with a guy in a mall. He had a mall clinic, and I was able to learn from him and trust the equipment and gain the skills that would have taken me a long time on my own. Because I did exactly what you did. I would go out to Goose Bay or some of the other airports and just repetition, but they're long, they're wide, and they're flat. And, that stuff out on the Big Sioux can be like, you got a video of me landing. I didn't even see that. that little ramp area, that sloped up, and then you could see my wheels come back off the ground. Going with somebody else always helps. Did he have any questions, or what did you find from him that he was kind of picking your brain? Did he have any focus areas or anything?
He's a pretty quiet guy to start with, so it was a little challenging to get stuff out of him. But I think it was more me just watching him fly and being able to tell him, you can do that quicker, or, this is how I set up, this is how I configure the plane, and a lot of it was like, oh, that makes sense. Oh gosh, that makes sense. I'm so new. I just didn't even have a clue that that's what you're doing. Like for instance, he came in and landed. He watched the first place we went, which is not like a huge spot. It's probably 600 feet. So, I mean, for a new guy to get into that spot, you kind of got to trust that he'll hopefully do what he says he can do, to start with. But, we rolled our tires a couple times on it, and he said, oh yeah, I can do that. No problem. So I watched him come in, and just by watching him come in, I knew that there was definitely some things that we could correct pretty quick, and me not being a flight instructor, and I told him that up front, I'm not trying to teach you how to do this. I just want you to listen to how I'm doing it. And that, you could just see the light bulb kind of going off in his head. I think I talked enough that he didn't have to ask me anything.
Yeah.
I was just kind of no, do this, I mean, I can see you're doing that, so try it this way, and he was it took him a while. I'm kind of the same learner. I mean, when you're outside of your comfortability, or being comfortable with something, it goes in and out of my brain so fast that you forget what you've even been told. So
sure.
It was easy for me to dial it back and say, let's just try this one thing. Don't worry about anything else. Just try this one thing. And that one thing leads to a second thing, to a third thing, to a fourth thing, to a fifth thing, to a sixth thing. Before we knew it, he was taking off in 200 feet and landing in 350.
Well, it's one of those things where you don't know what you don't know. And when I first bought my maul, I didn't know any of exactly what you were talking about. I just wanted to go with somebody and sit and say, I just had very simple questions what are you doing with your feet? I wanted to see what his feet were doing while, we were landing or whatever. And so, having that, that extra, information that you wouldn't have normally gotten, I think is great. And so, that was cool to end up flying with you guys, at least for that short little time. So,
yeah. And to have somebody that's confident in what they're doing, to be able to tell you that it's okay to do it that way, is just a huge confidence builder. Like today, I had him do a takeoff, and he didn't even pull flaps, which is just a standard operation for me. I mean, I pull almost full flaps every takeoff, just because every takeoff I'm practicing.
Right.
I'm not practicing. That's just how we do it. So, to get him dialed in, and it was I don't know how you set up your takeoffs, but I count potatoes. I don't know why I did that. Somebody taught me that long ago. I don't find myself doing it as much anymore, but when I first started, I definitely did. So that was something that he just couldn't believe that I was doing. He's still set in the mindset we just let the plane just fly off the runway,
Mm-hmm.
And then the backcountry environment, you kind of, sometimes you have to force it to fly off the runway.
Sure. How many potatoes do you count?
For me, I count 3 or 4 potatoes, tail up, and then full flaps and rotate.
Nice.
So, I mean, I'm pretty short, but anymore, I can just feel, I can feel the plane's ready to fly.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I need probably 1 or 2 more potatoes.
Sure. Well, that's understandable. And I mean, today, I was 30 gallons of fuel, and you can so tell that the weather is changing. Those air molecules are packed pretty tight these days.
Yeah.
I was making a lot of lift. I mean, it was a lot of fun going out there, and just beating up the gravel bars. So, after we saw you guys, we went up the Yetna probably to just the bottom of Big Bend. And then we just flew all the way back down with like a headwind, and he followed me, and just, it was a new thing to him that you got that water's edge as like your threshold. So, try to be, for him, as like, just try to be within 100 feet of that, and then as your time, you'll start whittling that down. I mean, it is kind of a dangerous way to do it, because if you get slow and you hit the water, you could be in trouble, but at least you have like a true threshold that you have to go past. So I think he really enjoyed like that type of stuff, and he tried to get a little too close to me. He found my wake turbulence a few times. I think we'll come up a little bit.
Actually, when I flew over you when you were landing, I caught a little bit of yours as well, and so it'll wake you up a little bit. But when you were doing the water skiing, you seemed like you were going slower than I would have probably gone. What was your speed on those?
Indicated, I was like 50.
Okay.
So, I'm ground speed was just a little bit above that. I might have sank down just a little bit just when you hit the water, but I mean, I can water ski at like 45 miles an hour. I'm still not breaking the water. Yeah. So
one thing I've never done is water ski. I've just never done it. Not that I don't want to, but
I mean, it's definitely a comfortability thing. Like, and each plane takes it differently. But it's dangerous, but at the same time, if you keep your speed up, like when I first started water skiing, I wasn't like super great at looking at my ground speed necessarily. I was just looking at indicated speed. I would start I would keep my indicated airspeed like around 60. So I'd be 2 notches of flaps and doing 60 miles an hour. And there's this like thing that happens when a 35 hits the water. I don't know about any other tire because I've never done it. But it makes this like super unique chatter sound to it. And the slower you get, that chatter sound goes away. So it's like kind of this weird balance where you're almost like, you can't really go too fast, but ground effect is constantly trying to push you back up. So you're really fighting it the faster you go. So I find like a happy medium, if you can indicate 50, 2 notches of flap, sometimes even 3, like it just wants to like settle in and it's just nice and buttery smooth. So, but yeah, it's not for everybody, but it's something that I've used in like, practical places, like to get into some of these hunting places and stuff that we go. So it's a skill that I think I need to be more proficient. So I practice it a lot.
Well, you mentioned it's dangerous, but it's not. I think what it comes right down to is that most of what we did, even like landing on that gravel bar, it can be dangerous. But the skill and the practice and the fine tuning what you need to do and doing it over and over and over, I think that takes away a lot of the danger. Cool. Well, I appreciate talking to you, man. It was good to fly with you.
Cool, dude.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you later.